Good morning, guys. Another video about how to survive your stones as best as possible. So in the last video, we said that Go is about survival, and the first steps to survival is often making a nice base that prevents your opponent from easily playing inside your shape. Now, my question was, at the end of the video, when white plays here, does black need to add another move? And so some of you have taken some time to think about it, but I'll just tell you that the answer is yes. So, why? Well, if we give white another move, so say black plays somewhere else, white can do the same thing that we saw before of undercutting black. And this stone here is really helpful. It allows white to undercut really strongly. White now has the option of running out this direction or running to the friendly stone here. And so when black cuts off one direction, the other becomes available. And we saw last time that this type of move was somewhat ineffective due to the cutting problem. You'll notice there's some fight left in black shape, so something like this, for instance. But if you start to do this, then immediately you have to protect this cut. White can play on top. Black can keep fighting, but actually the shape that was originally there, this two-space base, is going to be broken through. And so white is going to get a really, really good result here. And just to show, if block, this captures two stones with no possibility of escape, right? And so there's nothing really black can do to capture these three stones. Black is always losing one of the potential liberty races to capture the stones. There's a couple other variations here, and it's actually a good idea to put this on the board and poke at it on your own. I recommend that for all of my videos. You really need to play the moves in order to get a sense of them. But let's reset. And so our trigger here is that we know about white having a good move in our local area. So we need to prepare some counterplay against our opponent's good move so that our stones can survive and thrive. What's a good counterplay here? Well, I'm going to take my Tanuki stone and I'm just going to jump out. And this is a classic proverb. A one-space jump to the center is never a bad move. And so now, in the variation we showed before, we had white coming through and cutting here, and now when black blocks, this stone is very helpful in improving the shape. It makes a tiger's mouth. And so this gives black more shapely options in order to help damage the stones. White can still start this fight, but it's not as good for white. The impact is reduced because we played an additional move. In addition, if white doesn't play any move, playing a move here increases our territory potential. So before we just had territory behind this line, and now it's kind of like this. And then as we grow, you can see that this center area is becoming territory. So what we've essentially done is added a new way for the group to grow by jumping up towards the center. And growing in Go is surviving. That's the most important thing in Go, is that your stones can survive to the end. There's another term that I'd like to introduce here, which is thick. This group is thicker now than this group because we can see that this move helps the shape a lot. Now, how do you find these moves? Well, your intuition should be that a one-space jump to the center is never a bad move. And your second intuition should be you want to grow as much as possible safely. And so this move is an interesting growing move from this position. But if you go one further, there's a really annoying spot here. This stone is really hard for black to cut off and capture. Just to show, we call this playing on the elephant's eye because this jump is too wide. It's like an elephant. Now black can't quite get away with the cut here. Although black may consider this variation for other reasons. For instance, this Atari is kind of interesting. But essentially, black is unable to capture this stone, and so the connection between here and here is going to be broken. There's no way for this group to get in contact with its friend. And so when we play stones, we need to play stones that can connect to their friends and can connect relatively simply. Otherwise, the opponent can find good moves. And so we have another word for this, which is knowing good shape. What is a good shape? And a good shape is simply a shape that can easily connect to its friends. When pressed, some sort of shenanigans can occur, but in this case, this move is Atari, meaning this stone will likely be captured, and this move is Atari, meaning this stone will likely be captured. In our previous variation, when white played this move, there was no Atari available for black, and so there's really just no good way for black to proceed and connect to the friend. Okay, and so we've discussed about making a two-space base, which is the most important first step, and when the opponent comes close using moves, we should do a one-space jump to the center. These stones are very important. They're reducing the efficiency of all of the white stones in the surrounding area. It's very important to keep protecting them and keep growing them. A lot of players will say there's not a lot of territory associated with these moves, but the problem is, in this case, the forcing moves that you're giving your opponent are just too damaging. Moves like this and this reduce the group to 1 or 0 eyes relatively quickly, and then these stones are just going to have to run for the rest of the game. They're going to be your burden. White is going to get a ton of Sente moves all over the board. The value of those moves is going to far exceed the value of a territory-taking move like this. Okay, I hope that was helpful. And again, the rule is play near your friends, play moves that can connect to your friends, even when pressed, and when your stones are surrounded or partially surrounded, a one-space jump to the center is never a bad move. You don't have to think too much about this, just play the one-space jump, and you will be in much better shape in all of your games. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next video.